for our feature presentation.
He'll be fine on the mountain.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series.
Watson, touchdown. Hunter Renfrow.
He got him, and it's all over. Coastal Carolina rules the roost. They win the championship. And South Carolina has won the national championship.
The Senegal baseball team has done it again, but this time the Bulldogs beat one of the top teams in the country. They are giant killers. Get the ball to Bennett. He does.
Gamecocks are in the Final Four.
All right, greetings and a good Wednesday afternoon, and welcome aboard the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online, and driven by our friends and yours at Stokes Volkswagen. Find them at stokesvw.com. Find us on the JB and Goldwater app. You can download that. It's free, and if you've got it in your phone, you can watch or listen, or both, to our program daily between 12 and 2 o'clock, and you can always go back and check us out if you miss it across all social media platforms at JB and Goldwater, individually at Sports Media JB, and at Darren Goldwater. 843-321-8893 is our phone number and our text line, or you can always comment in some of those what they call chat rooms, but they're not creepy like some that you might find on the internet. Not when Darren's in charge. No. Guys like Clint and Craig and others continue to comment daily, and we certainly appreciate that. They're wherever, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, you name it, and you can be a part of our program, just like JC Shurburtt and Keith Allsep will be today. JC for a full hour to BigSpur.com. If you're a Carolina fan, obviously there's a lot to listen to when it comes to recruiting, but we'll talk about some of the current Gamecocks as well, maybe as it pertains to, I don't know, name, image, and likeness, because tomorrow they can all start making money off of their names, their images, and their likeness. We'll get into that in a little bit. Keith Allsep, as I mentioned, the host of the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast at 1:30 today. It is part 2 of our all-new 10-part mini-series. It's time for Carolina football. Almost, but as it pertains to our show, it is. We'll get into some different conversations with him today about South Carolina. In just a minute, we're going to get right into the College World Series. Game 3 is tonight. There will be another SEC champion in the sport of college baseball. We've got some umpiring stuff to talk about as well. So it's a pretty packed day. And I'll tell you what Nebraska's doing. There's a major company in the state of Nebraska. And if you're an athlete in the Cornhusker State, you have an opportunity right now, tomorrow. Bam, 12:01 tonight to make money. First 100. We'll tell you all about that here in just a little bit as well. But Darren, good afternoon. It was another late one last night due to the rain delay. It's Omaha in June. We expect these. This happened for a while. And then Vanderbilt didn't have it early on, and Mississippi State just went ahead to blow them out and even that thing up. And here we are, game 3.
Yeah, I did not make it until the end of the game last night. I don't know if you did, but at that point, once it was, I think, 8-2, I said, I've had enough because I want to do this again tomorrow night. I'll start the show, and then we'll get right into College World Series by congratulating a good friend, loyal listener and viewer, Mackenzie Solomons, and his wife, Leah. Their daughter, Lottie, arrived this morning,
All right.
I don't know, 3-4 hours ago, something in that range. So congratulations. Awesome. There is another new baby girl roaming around this neighborhood. That makes like 800 of them.
That is fantastic. Congratulations, Mackenzie. That is wonderful. Wonderful news. I'm a big fan of little girls, as you are yourself, Darren. We are what you would call #girl dads.
Yep.
In today's day and age. That is wonderful. Well, hopefully it's a little Gamecock. Who do they pull for?
No, I think it's going to be a Tiger. It's a pretty safe bet. It's going to be a Tiger. Yeah,
that's okay.
Sorry. That's going to temper your enthusiasm a little bit. But if it's not a Tiger, it's probably kicked out of the family. So it's probably a Tiger.
I can respect that. I know exactly how that feels. Happy and healthy is all that matters. Congratulations to their family. That is wonderful news. All right, so here are some notes. Tonight there will be, and I get it, some folks might not want to recognize it like this, but there will be another SEC baseball champion, even though the NC State debacle happened. This will be the 13th time since 1990 that an SEC team has won it all. It'll be the 7th time since 2009 that an SEC team has won it all, and it could be the 5th different program in this league to win a championship since 2009. Might only be the 4th if Vanderbilt pulls it off tonight, but it could be the 5th. If Mississippi State is able to crown themselves national champions, it would be the first team national championship in the school's history. The Southeastern Conference has had a program in the National Championship Series of college baseball every year since 2008, except for one, and that was in 2016. Coastal Carolina, of course, right up the road, beat Arizona in that year's National Championship Series. 11 of 31. That's it. Only 11 seasons in 31 years since 1990 has an SEC team not been in the championship series. Since 2009, 14 of the 24 participants are Southeastern Conference programs as well. Honestly, I mean, you can cut it however you want to. You can hate on them all you want to. At the end of the day, there is a strong argument that the SEC is the best league for a team sport of all of them in the country. I'd have to go back and look at some of the non-revenues, you know, swimming and diving and track and field and things like that. But certainly of the major sports, with how many different programs have made it into the national championship and have won it, nobody approaches them, Darren. I mean, it's really unbelievable what they've been able to do since LSU in 09 and, you know, Georgia in 08 and even on before that.
Yeah, so especially recently. I mean, because we did that exercise yesterday about states with multiple teams in the College World Series, and California's got 15 of them, and New York and Massachusetts. But of recent memory, yes. Couple things that jump out to me, just trend-wise, not necessarily SEC. 4 of the last 5 winners have lost game 1. That's noteworthy because it's only happened 6 times. So yeah. 4 of the 6 times it's ever happened where someone loses game 1 of the 3-game championship series and then comes back and wins, 4 of those 6 have happened in the last 5 years. That's what Mississippi State is trying to do tonight. 2 stud arms likely to throw in Rocker and Bednar, both career short rest. Rocker on 4 days, Bednar on 3.
Yeah, it should be a heck of a. I don't think we'll see the offensive numbers tonight that we've seen out of State last night. Vanderbilt the night before. Has been some sloppy play involved, particularly on the mound. Walks early for both programs in the last 2 games. That young man, the little kid that threw for Vandy last night, let me go ahead and just go ahead, make my 3-year prediction. He's another future first rounder for Vanderbilt. He's got it. He's 17 years old. So if any of you were watching that game last night thinking, who in the heck is this kid? Let me tell you something. Look back in 2 years and tell me what he's done, because he's going to be another one. They continue to roll him out in Nashville. But last night, the moment was large for him. And Mississippi State was able to score 5 late and even put it more out of reach than it was, 13-2 that final. By the way, I love this note. I saw it this morning. I absolutely love this note. Mississippi State is the only program ever in college baseball history to strike out 800 or more batters in a season. Wow. Are you kidding me? Over 800 struck out by the Mississippi State pitching staff this year. Scott Foxhall is the pitching coach. Gives me goosebumps. Tip your cap to a former Cougar and, most importantly, a wonderful man. And tip your cap to Chris Lamonis, a former Bulldog and a wonderful man. And tonight, I hope that this whole state will be pulling for them. I know an entire county that's pulling for them. That's the county that Omaha is in. I was texting last night with Tony Skull. I said there's got to be 18 to 20,000. And then when I heard him on TV say what do you think? 23,000 or more? And Kyle Peterson say probably more. I mean, when they scan around, Darren, this isn't like one of those TV things where you're kind of hiding it a little bit here and there. It's everywhere. I mean, it is remarkable. I have so much respect for Mississippi State Bulldogs fans for making that trip. We know they're itching to get to win the World Series if they can pull it off. That is so cool, man. I love college baseball. I love it dearly. And this right here should show everybody what this sport means and some of the things that need to be talked about. We're talking a lot about NIL lately. Get rid of this 11.7 crap in scholarships for college baseball. The country loves it. Look at what's going on right now. 25,000 people almost made the trip to go watch their college baseball team play. Football teams aren't getting that. It's unbelievable.
And so many people there, or whether they came from Starkville or wherever they came from, or maybe they're Omahans, if you want to call them that, just adopting Hail State. But you couldn't hear a ton of the Whistler last night. That's how many Mississippi State fans are there. You couldn't hear a ton of the Whistler. I assure you that the production is doing everything in their power to not allow the whistle to come through as clear as it typically can.
Yeah.
But it's loud. If it's been drowned out, as it has been drowned out, that's how many people are there. Something else that's jumped out to me trend-wise, Vanderbilt, since their explosive opening inning, game 1, haven't been able to do anything offensively. They also have 10 errors in the College World Series. Mississippi State,
none. Yeah, goose egg.
Not a single one. There are a lot of trends to me heading into game 3 that, in my eyes, favor Mississippi State.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm absolutely with you. The one, though, is a big one that trends to Vandy, and that's that Kamar Rocker is going to be pitching tonight for the Doors, and it's hard to go against that guy, but you might not have to go against that guy. If you can get him out of there within 6 or 7 and you've got a tight one, maybe a 1-run game, even if you're down, you're in it. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be great. This is great for the sport of college baseball. Again, I know that people maybe are not as passionate about it as you and I, Darren, but we bleed it, and we'll continue to bleed it, and we'll continue to gush over it here on our program because it's special. It is really special what's going on out there. What's not special, though, is umpiring. And last night, I texted 2 college baseball coaches last night, 2 of them. I'm not going to say who they were. And I said, what do you think about this? And both of them, the exact same response. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. College, here, I'm going to go on a little soapbox for a second. So just give me a second here. This sport is beautiful, man. It's beautiful. And then you've got idiots in the NCAA and all over the place that think that changing part of the game is going to speed the game up. Pitch clocks and how many times you can step off the rubber and how many visits you can have. And, are you allowed to blow your nose or not? Can you wave at your mom in the States? No, you already waved at your mom. Can't do that again. These are morons. They know nothing about the sport of baseball. How do I know that? Because they allow 6-man umpiring crews to have 5-minute meetings about whether they're going to go see a replay that they know they're going to see because the coach requested it. Stop it. It's a 5-minute meeting that doesn't need to be. There is no reason that the left field and the right field umpires should be anywhere near the home plate umpire on a foul ball decision ever, especially when it's fouled right back off of his own shoulder. Those guys need to stay out there. Now, they're doing what they're told. And what they're told to do is, well, let's huddle up and talk about it. Well, what the hell are you talking about? If the coach comes out, this is simple. I'd like to challenge that. Will you go to replay? Yes, sir, we will. Then go put the damn headphones on. There's no reason those guys need to walk or run down the line, the foul line, and huddle up and say, well, what'd you see? Well, I don't know. I couldn't see it. I was 250 feet away. Well, maybe we should go take a look at replay like Coach asked, and we already granted his request. Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. So why are we doing this? If you want to speed the game up, I mean, you're literally, Darren, we're literally doing things like you can't step off the rubber more than X number of times, which causes you, about 10 seconds in delay in the game. But yet we're going to let these umpires come down and talk for 5 minutes about a play that they already know they're going to replay. So who's really slowing the game down here? It doesn't make sense. They got to stop this crap. It ruins it. The pitchers are ready to go. They need to pitch. Let them stand up there and pitch. It ruins the flow of the game. You talk about taking too long. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's a joke. Everybody knows it's a joke. They gotta get better. We can argue about whether umpires are having a tough night behind the plate or whatever. That's always going to be in the game. Some of them are really bad. Some of them are consistently inconsistent. But you can live with it because it's balls and strikes, and it's been like that for 200 years, basically. This crap has got to stop. Replay is good when it's utilized right. Right now, it's not being utilized correctly on national TV, and the rest of the country is seeing they got a problem, and they need to fix it. And they can start fixing it tonight. They don't need an off-season meeting about this. Fix it right now, tonight.
I wonder if they can fix it tonight, because what they're doing also is following their rule book, right?
That's right.
It has to be fixed in the offseason, and the fact that it's getting amplified right now, hopefully it will be fixed in this offseason, and they won't delay, because what's happening here, Game 1 ratings were abysmal. It was below 390,000. I haven't seen the ratings for Game 2. There are a number of things that play into that. The rain delay, the early 7-1 lead for Vanderbilt in Game 1, and you want this bounce back to continue.
The NC State issue, too.
Yeah. And the sports bounce back has been strong. It's been a very good year for college baseball leading up to the NC State issue, right? So now you've got that. Now you've got another rain delay in Game 2. After the rain delay in Game 2, you've got stoppages. I don't know how long they actually lasted, but multiple ones. And after the conference of umps, then they're going to replay. And obvious replays, once you've already gotten to that point, are still taking too long. And it is just grinding the game to a halt. If you've got the ESPN guys on national television who ESPN gives a lot of money to these conferences so that they can broadcast these games. Those guys are not in the business of saying things negatively about anything involved in that game. But when you've got those guys saying this is bad, this has to get fixed, that's how bad it is.
It's bad. I mean, it's like really bad. I mean, you and I could actually have a fun little exercise right now. Honestly, it's Wednesday. Tomorrow's our last day before our 4th of July break. Why the hell not? Who cares? What do you think the left field and the right field umpires were talking about? What, honestly, what could they have possibly added to the situation?
I don't know.
Nothing.
I mean, unless they have like binocular eyes, which they probably don't, I'm assuming, but nothing, because
there's nothing.
No,
nothing. There's literally nothing.
Right. So all you did is wait so that those guys could come down and join the conversation, so they could stand there and hear the conversation that they can't add anything to. Just more time. Just pointless time.
I know. And Tommy Tough Guy, the first base umpire last night, comes sprinting in when the kid who fouled the ball off of his the handle of his bat, and then it went off his shoulder, and he was just kind of standing there. They were already going to replay it. But Tommy Tough Guy comes sprinting in. Oh, you need to back up from this conversation. I'm like, dude, you need to sprint to that headset over there and get this thing moving. Don't worry about him. He ain't going to do anything. He's just a player. You know, I mean, you're right, because the large majority of people are watching this and they're blaming the umpires themselves. The umpires are doing what they're told to do. What they're told to do is wrong. I don't care who the hell is telling them to do it. I don't care if it's freaking Joe Torre or somebody dug up Casey Stengel or whatever. I don't care who told them. They're wrong. Like, period, the end. They are wrong. It's very simple. The challenge was put in place to get it right and to move the game along to stop stuff like this. Do we not remember this? Like, when they put these things in place, it was, okay, well, we're going to kill two birds with one stone here. One, challengeable calls we can get corrected if we have a good view. That's one. That's point A. Some of them might take a little longer, because some of them are hard to see. We all understand that. Important play, tough angles. You want to be able to get it right. It might take a little bit longer sometimes. Okay, no problem. The other side of it, though, Darren, let's go back to the days that I really, truly miss, the Ralph Civiteri days. We just talked to Ralph 2 days ago, when umpires would come out and just go ballistic, or they'd have a conversation and they go, let's see if this guy had a view of it. And then they go down and they talk and they go back and forth. And I didn't see it. And then they'd argue, and then he'd get thrown out of the game and it'd take 5 or 6 minutes. So they wanted to eliminate that, right? Okay. I wasn't a fan of it, but I get it. So let's eliminate it. Pretty simple. I'd like to challenge that. Okay, we'll go look at it, and then we'll come back out and make a call. Yeah, they've screwed that up, all of it, because now they talk about the fact that they're going to go look at it on replay. And then, as you mentioned, it took one replay look last night to go, yeah, that ball hit the bat. And then like 3 minutes later, we're still sitting here.
And we had the issue in game one. In the first inning, maybe the second inning, when one of the Vanderbilt guys got hit on the top of his foot. He's wearing a pad on. It could have been, I think it was game one. Maybe it was last night. He's wearing a pad on top of his foot. The pitch hits him. The pad moves. And it took a while to figure that out. I've heard a lot of folks, or seen at least, banter on Twitter. Just do away with the replay. What you can't do that, because
no, it's here to stay.
Right. And we're so far along the line in technology that we at home are going to see the replay. You can't do away with replay, but you got to find a way to do it better than this. The game's long enough. You want to shorten the game. You don't lengthen it. Don't stop the game and everything involved in the game, the atmosphere, everything. Don't just stop the game for 10 minutes to figure out something obvious.
Right. Absolutely. There's and the guys who are in the replay booth, I don't even know where the hell that is anymore. I really don't. Do you know where they are? I don't even know where they are. But the guys who are there, they're looking at everything. That's what we were told. Y'all remember all this? Mm-hmm. We've been told this about every sport, especially football and baseball. They look at everything. Every play is reviewed. Every play is they're going to challenge it. They're going to come review it. There's a guy already looking at it. So why have this 5-minute conversation on the field with guys that literally have no business being involved in it anyways, and then going to put the headset on, and then we're taking another 2 or 3 minutes. It took one shot of it. Oh, yeah, that definitely hit his bat. It is bat. Okay, it is bat. It's a foul ball. I mean, the play at second, and I don't blame Corbin. That was a smart challenge by him on there was a ground ball. They threw it to say State didn't turn the double play, but Corbin was challenging whether the shortstop, I think it might have been Forsythe for Mississippi State, actually had his foot on the bag in that force out. And it was really close, but he did. So you have base umpires, home plate. Let's walk through this together, boys and girls. First base, second base, third base. And then when you look in the outfield, left field line, and believe it or not, this is going to shock all of you, right field line. You got 6 of them. They're challenging the call at second. And those 6 guys have to talk about the call that the second base umpire made with his own 2 eyes 6 feet away from it before they can go look at the replay that was requested and already granted to Tim Corbin. Okay. I mean, dude, come on. I know I'm standing on a tall box here and I'm just keep going, but it's almost funny now. You're like, dude, this is just stupid.
It can be fixed, or it can be, I don't know about fixed. It can be sped up very simply by saying, look, I understand what it says right now, the rule book for them. All the umpires on a call that is being disputed must come together and discuss, so that then we have the call on the field once it's all been discussed, and then we decide if it's actually going to go to replay. But why can't it just be, all right, if there's a play at second and we want to figure out what our call is going to be before replay, you look around. You don't need to get all these guys huddled together. Anyone have a good look at it? No? My look was the best? All right, here's my call. Now, you want to challenge it or not? That took like 5 seconds for me to go through that, as opposed to the whole conversation happening. If I know behind the plate, if I had a good look at the play at second, I know up the left field line, if I had a good play or good look at the play at third, which is very possible. So then I can at least lend my opinion. If I didn't have a good look, Why am I running in to join this conversation? Why are we all having this lengthy conversation before it even goes to review if I didn't have a good look?
There's no reason for any of it. There really isn't. They can say whatever they want to say. I don't even know if anybody's put out a statement. If they did, wake up in the middle of the night and check your Twitter account around 2:00 is probably when you'll get it. But I mean, like, if they did, it doesn't matter. It's garbage. It doesn't matter what their protocols are. It doesn't matter. Well, this is the way we do it, and here's why. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. That doesn't matter because it's wrong. It's like, well, honestly, the sky sometimes looks orange. Doesn't matter. The sky's blue, period. So, I was really stunned that we're here at this level of baseball in a sport that has just grown unbelievably, and this idiotic situation is taking place in the College World Series. My God, I mean, somebody should be fired for that. It's at the end of the day, did it win or lose the game? No, but my whole point is we're talking out of two sides of our mouths here. We have to speed the game up. Coach, you've been out there for 5 seconds too long. You need to go sit down. You've already had your visit that was over 20 seconds. But we can rally around together in a little meeting and talk about how our belly aches from a tuna sandwich we had before the ball game for 5 minutes, and then go look at a replay for another 2 or 3 minutes, and then go, well, it was a foul ball. Yeah, I know the whole country knows that.
Yeah, saw it already.
You're the last one to figure it out. So what are we doing?
Great. I mean, why don't you put a buzzer on one of their hips? So while they're all standing around, like the crew chief, how about? So while they're all standing around trying to figure it out, there's somebody else looking at this and just buzzes down and says, got your answer. Here, I'll text it to you.
That's right. I see there's a question here. Why can't someone run a headset out there during the meeting? Easy fix. Well, number one, I don't know if that from a technical standpoint, I don't know how those headsets are designed. They might be wired in and can't go that far. That's one. But
lengthen the wire. It's not hard.
It's not that hard. No. The other reason, though, the other reason I would venture a guess here is there is an official who is standing on the side that's in charge of this. And not every play is cut and dry, out or safe, fair or foul, things like that. Sometimes other things are affected in a play because of something. So it's important that the communication needs to be directly on the headset with that official standing there in the booth. That's the only thing I can think of. I'm not trying to come up with a, right or wrong or anything like that. But sometimes, well, hey, look, because of this call, this guy's going to have to go back to first. His count's actually now going to be 2-1. These things can get lost in the shuffle sometimes when you're going through these replays. So it's important to communicate. I'm not saying that it's not, but the length of time is just, it's ludicrous.
Got to get fixed. It's got to get fixed. It's too long.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So was that rant. So anybody that maybe tune that out, I don't blame you, especially as I'm coming off of my sinus infection.
I'll save you for a second because Kyla Corton homered again last night. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Again. Again.
I'm excited to talk to Corey tomorrow. What is a bigger story right now, Schwarber or Ohtani? It's remarkable.
They're both massive stories. They really are. They have to be. Ohtani probably more so because of the comparisons to Babe Ruth and because he's doing it on the mound and because he's doing it at the plate at the same time. I mean, what he's doing is, I think it was J.J. Watt who said he's literally dominating in two facets of the game. Nobody else is even coming close. How is anyone in the MVP conversation other than Shohei Ohtani? How is somebody more valuable than Ohtani if he's dominating in two aspects of the game? And he's right. But for now, Kyle Schwarber is also a lot of fun to watch.
I think that the big difference, Washington's 3 games back and the Angels are 9.5.
Forever back.
Not close. Yeah. We'll talk more about that tomorrow with Corey McCartney. We are 1 day away from name, image, and likeness. What do we expect from this? Wow. What Gamecock is the most marketable on the team, on the football team? Maybe JC Shurburtt has some thoughts on that. But I know he certainly has some thoughts on recruiting. If you have been under a rock for the last week or so, it has been a whirlwind in Columbia. An in-depth, deep dive into Gamecock football with JC Shurburtt from thebigspur.com when the JB and Goldwater show driven by Stokes Volkswagen returns.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road with exciting news. It's springtime and we're playing ball. Most dealerships don't have any inventory, but at Stokes Volkswagen we do. So we're playing ball on every new Volkswagen in stock. Every new Volkswagen available with zero down. Qualified buyers can sign and drive with interest-free financing for 60 months. Remember, Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road is the fastest, easiest way to sell your car and get the most money for your trade. Plus, we'll take any trade in any condition, paid off or not. Is your credit in a slump?
Strike two.
If you've got $500 down and you make at least $2,000 per month, our lenders can get you approved. So if you want to strike out, that's okay. But if you want to hit a home run and save on a new Volkswagen, come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road or StokesVW.com.
$1,666 per month per $1,000 borrowed for 60 months at 0% APR with zero down. Plus tax tag. Includes $499.50 administration fee. Subject to VCI credit approval. Expires month end.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
Shrimping season's back. That means local caught shrimp. That's right. Local caught shrimp back on the menu at the Dog and Duck. All three locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road, now featuring once again local caught hand-breaded shrimp, plus other daily specials like the Game Day Burger every Wednesday, Rib Night on Friday, rotating taps all the time, and all the TVs you can possibly imagine for whatever you want to watch. The Dog and Duck in Bell Hall, Park West, and on Clements Ferry Road.
Your online radio. The new online radio that makes you happy.
I got honeybees beating on my screen door. I got a little buzz in my head. So cause we come from a long line of sinners like me.
You were listening to the JB and Goldwater Show, live, loud, and online.
Don't cry for me when I'm gone. Just put a quarter in the jukebox and sing me back home.
You got it, Chief. Whatever you tell me to do, I'll do it, man. 12:33. Welcome back. The JB and Goldwater Show, brought to you by Eric Church on this Wednesday afternoon.
I got a story about Eric Church. Sort of.
I mean, I'm all ears and all in. All
right. So every Wednesday, 7:30 a.m. Central Time, I go and do a radio show with Wimp and Barry Sanderson in Tuscaloosa. I've mentioned it here before.
Yep.
I'm on there every Wednesday. So Wednesdays are my big media days, right? And so, all right, they changed producers on me, and that's the guy that calls. And look, this guy's a super nice guy. But when you're waking up at 7:30 to do a radio show and you've just had your coffee and you're trying to kind of be energetic, and a guy calls and goes, "Hey, how are you doing?" well, that's good. Anything good going on? What's up? And wants to have a conversation. So sometimes I'm a little short with this guy. On top of that, I used to have Ants Marching by Dave Matthews as my intro every week. Well, this guy changes it every freaking week. It's like there was like some Ramones one time. There was like some oldies. There was like Neil Diamond, and I love Neil Diamond, but I don't want that to intro me, especially if it's like, girl, you'll be a woman soon, and you're like, what does this mean? What? And I'm going on with Wimp and Barry Sanderson. Like these two guys, right? They're not Wimp's, a veteran old basketball coach from Alabama, and Barry's his kid, and he's an old coach too. They don't even know what's going on. So today, I took control of the situation because instead of being short, I was like, "Hey, man, I'm doing good." I was like, "Do you do my intro music?" He's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Well," he's like, "You got a request, buddy?" And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like, "Today I'm your buddy. Please play some Eric Church." And he did, but he went with Springsteen, which I was like, I didn't know that. I was like, so it was kind of a semi-fail, but I'm going to coach him up because I like Pledge Allegiance to the Hag and Sinners Like Me and all that stuff. I like my favorites. A lot of boot left. A lot of boot left to fill. Is that the whole name of the
sir.
song?
Yes,
that's
sir.
Dude at the concert in Nashville a couple of years ago. This big old heavy metal hard rock hairy looking dude with a long mane flowing out there. Like they finished the song, and then all of a sudden he goes out in the middle of the stage of the spotlight. He's on the bass, and he's just like boom, 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 and then it kicks into that. And on the video, you could hear me going, "Lot of boot! Oh my god!" You know. And so that's kind of my favorite song. But I love them all. I mean, and I love Springsteen too. But it's just kind of like that Neil Diamond thing. I'm like, you know. So anyway, that's my story there. As JB knows, one of my turtles ran off.
Yeah,
and it's still missing. But
oh no,
the reason I brought up Eric Church is I said I've moped around here for a few days on this one, so I said I'm going to focus on Carolina recruiting and Eric Church this morning when I went and got my morning coffee before my segment, and it's cheered me up a bit. We haven't found like a dead turtle anywhere, so I'm assuming this guy just went home. You know, when he got out, he just went back to the lake. And there's no like apex predators like alligators or anything around here to where they'll eat him or anything. And he's too hard for a coyote to eat. So I'm like, well, you know, that's pretty good. And so I'm just going to, you know, buy a new one here in a couple of weeks and make sure the big one doesn't get out. But I don't think she's escaping anytime soon.
It's like a kid going to college. You raised him, and then it's time he leaves the nest and he goes.
Little guy's going off on his own, but he wasn't bought in a pet store or anything. He was actually found. He was stuck under a fence, and significant other rescued. You know, she rescued him a long time ago. He was stuck under a chain link fence and couldn't get out, so he became the pet. But I think he just said, "Hey, hell, I'm going home. I'm going home, the place where I belong."
Well,
So I'm in a good mood today. That's my point. Good mood today.
Well, I've told you this before. If you wake up in the morning and you turn on Eric Church, nothing really could go wrong. And if it does, it doesn't really matter. You don't care.
Yeah. Just tip your hat and raise your glass of cold beer. You know,
absolutely.
Anyway.
Well, best wishes to the turtle. Well, all this welcome home talk over the last few months, he's probably finally said the hell with it. I'm out of here. I'm going to go find my home.
He's probably following Shane Beamer on Twitter and, sees the towels and they look like worms to him. And he's like, hell, I got my chance. I'm free. Here we go.
He's all fired up like everybody else is about Carolina football. I don't blame him. Good for him. See, look, JC, it's time for Carolina football.
I wish they'd bring that back.
Well, I am bringing it back
with Spurrier, and use Spurrier. I mean, I don't know if you have to pay him because Spurrier loves money, but I think it would be an iconic tribute to the right now the best coach in school history, just to have his old face up there, after the little video. He goes, well, it's time for Carolina football. Woo!
Yeah, it is.
I mean, Florida plays at Steve Spurrier Field. They practice in the Steve and Jerry Spurrier indoor facility. Why not? Everybody loves this time for Carolina football. And he left, and Muschamp didn't really do that.
Well, last year he told everybody to get the bleep out of their seats.
That was actually from that was 2017, and somebody leaked it. But that kind of shows you too that Will's not. If you ever talk to him, he's really not the football helmet head type of guy that some people. He's really got a good sense of humor, a good personality. But anyway, I'm not here to talk about Will Muschamp today.
Well, we are
tick people off.
We are here to talk about South Carolina football, JC. So we will talk about who we know is committed. There are 3 who are committed that are not known publicly just yet, and will be, I think, here pretty soon, probably for one of them, and then the other 2, I think, within the next probably few days or so. So, but we'll talk about those that we know. We'll also get into some NIL stuff with you, and then we'll talk about Commitment Watch. I want to get this a little bit off of my chest, though. To everybody but to you, because I feel like this is something that this is the right time to kind of go back in the wagon a little bit from when Shane was in the mix to get hired and when he got hired. And let's just kind of bring it right here to basically July where we are, because we're in this flurry of commitments, and I want to credit you because a lot of what you said would probably happen so far is happening. There's been a cautious optimism, I would believe, JC. Would you agree with that statement over the last few months? Sure. I think there's been a part of the fan base that's been excited, but there's been this cautious optimism that's like, okay, this is great and all, but let's see what happens when the season kicks off.
Sure.
And I respect that. Let me say that I respect that. I'm not saying that I don't, but I also think that fans need to take this time right now to be excited. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of people out there that are saying things like, well, let's just pump the brakes. Let's see what it looks like. But JC, you're starting to see more on your message boards, on social media and things like that. I think people are starting to buy in a little bit more. They're getting a little bit more excited. But those who are still cautiously optimistic, I'm not saying you're wrong. I would just say this. You're right, but aren't we all a little exhausted with negativity? Aren't you ready to be excited about something? And this right now, this time, all these guys who are committing to South Carolina, this is a reason to be excited. Like, this staff has been begging this fan base to be a part of the solution. Mm-hmm. Don't drain that pond with pessimism. Fill it up with optimism, basically, is what they've been trying to tell you for a while. And they begged for that. And that's where they are. That's the direction they're heading in. It doesn't matter if they lose 1 game or 4 games or 6 games. It's not going to stop them from thinking optimistically, and it's not going to stop their energy. Like, that's not going to slow down. And so I would just say to those who have been like, yeah, but we just don't know what they're going to look like when the season comes around, but enjoy this moment, because you haven't had this in a while. This is fun. Get in on the fun. This stuff it'll resonate. It'll move forward. And I think these were messages that people like you were trying to get out there back when Shane got hired. And now that they're starting to see some momentum on the recruiting trail, I think there's more that are buying into what that plug was a few months ago.
Yeah, several things to unpack there. First and foremost, we're all college football fans, and if you follow South Carolina, you're definitely a college baseball fan. And when baseball gets eliminated, it's usually the dark period. You do have prospect camps. Under Steve Spurrier, there was some activity in the summer. Will Muschamp obviously did a lot of summer recruiting. I think 2 Junes ago was one of our biggest months on the site ever, and that was kind of Jordan Birch mania at the time. And that was before he lost North Carolina and App State. But it was, first and foremost, we've been like 15 months without recruiting. So that's the first thing, So it's good to have like tangible recruiting news, and you kind of see who guys get. You don't have to guess, and you're not sitting there talking about, well, they had a really good Zoom call, and you're seeing kids go to like another school because they're really good at Zoom, sight unseen and stuff like that. There's tangible recruiting news about the South Carolina Gamecocks and every other school in the country right now. So be thankful of that. Number 2, we're usually in the dead time right now here on June 30th. And it's like watching paint dry on the message boards or talk radio or whatever. Believe me, I did a daily radio show in Columbia, South Carolina. You get to this week in 2008, and I'm sitting there just begging people to call, reading the newspaper, reciting the Pledge of Allegiance, talking about what it means to be American. I'm crying on the air, just trying to get somebody out there. Hey, hello, anybody? Yeah. That kind of thing.
That's why Darren and I are on vacation next week, by the way.
Exactly. But hey, flurry of activity, man. And it's going to go all the way through the 4th. So grab your hot dog and, go have your barbecue and go to the beach or whatever. But, keep your phone, because there's going to be more news all the way through the 4th, 5th of July. So that's a positive thing. And you think people would love that. And I think they do. So that's another thing about it. Number 3, and this wasn't a majority of Gamecock fans. This was kind of some people, they spent all that money on that facility and it hadn't even paid off on break on 1-2-8 and blah. All right, look, the 50% of a recruiting cycle that Will Muschamp had with the facility, which was, the 2020 class, top 20 class. I'll repeat, it's still on campus. Jordan Birch, Marshawn Lloyd, Luke Doty, Muhammad Kaba, Jaheim Bell. The list goes on and on and on. A lot of good players in that class. South Carolina won a lot of recruiting battles. Whether or not you like Will Muschamp or not, that's a good class. Okay, 2021 got none of that because we're in a pandemic. The facility just opened back up June 1st. Okay, so in 29 days, if you read any of the recruits' responses, the ones that have committed, the ones that haven't, one of the first things they mentioned is the facility. One of them said, and he's been to a lot of name schools, it's the nicest facility I've ever been in, Right. And so, that's why you build a facility like that. Number one, for your players on campus, but number two, it's a big recruiting tool. Don't get me wrong. Facilities don't really make the decision for kids, but it really, really helps. Like Ryan Brubacher, right? They just got him, 4-star kid out of Pennsylvania, beat Penn State on him. Penn State legacy, no doubt. You think if he'd have come to South Carolina, no matter what the good feeling and vibes he got from the coaches and what kind of great relationships he had, if South Carolina is sitting there and it's like a, old school, like longest yard penitentiary style weight room, and they just old equipment and stuff like that. And, or he had to go 15 different places to see where you got treatment and see where you ate and go to the Doty to eat and all that. Do you think that would have made his decision a little bit tougher? Because at Penn State, they've got all the bells and whistles. Okay. So that's another thing where it's paying off. So the naysayers on the facility can go jump in a hole, officially. I'm not going to say anything about the naysayers about the Beamer hire or this or that or the others. But if you criticize the facility and say, spend all that money, don't think we need to, and it's not paying off, then I think, right now, officially, you're wrong. Okay. And so that's that. So there's a lot of things to be positive about. Now I'll say this. I have given Gamecock Twitter a hard time because – we have folks on the message board who get negative, who are always negative, and that's fine. That's a private message board. You have to pay to access and all that. Recruits do read it sometimes. Opposing coaches do print things out off the message board sometimes. So you're not really helping, but it's not like Twitter where 3 tweets from a fan base can turn a kid off. That's the world we live in. And I've given them a very hard time because a lot of them don't really they think that their tweet is so important and all that. And it's really not. It can't help, but it can hurt if it's worded a certain way. And a lot of these guys can't really word things the right way. Well, I want to give Gamecock Twitter a shout out because I talked to a source about yesterday when it kind of came alive on social media, and he was talking. He said for the first time, our fans, meaning South Carolina's, really, really helped the momentum. And they did. And you look at it, you look at the responses to Beamer, all that. There is some positive momentum being established out there by what is normally an otherwise negative and clueless group of folks, or what has been in the past. They're kind of starting to get it. So I want to credit them for that. So that's positive. And then, finally, I'm getting the nuts and bolts of it right now. Here's the bottom line. Okay. Steve Spurrier took over for Lou Holtz. He had some players. He had to kick some off. Spurrier cobbled together a top 20 recruiting class in his first year. If you look back at that class, outside of Jared Cook and Ryan Suckup and Lim Jean-Pierre, all the top-rated guys ended up quitting or not panning out or getting moved to defense or whatever, right? So that class was a complete bust. Muschamp's first class was actually a miracle. But if you look at Holtz's last class that Spurrier inherited, and you look at Spurrier's last class, which was full of bust in 2015, there was a 2-class period there where you look and 50% of the guys you signed are just nowhere to be found. Okay. Right. So here's the difference in the situation Beamer's inheriting. I mentioned the 2020 class. They're all still there, and they all redshirted last year. Yep. So he's not inheriting the 04 class from Holtz, which has, a lot of guys that didn't really, Evan Spinogius and guys like that didn't really pan out. And he's not inheriting the 2015 class like Muschamp did, where, yeah, you had some guys that were solid players like Dante Sawyer and Rashad Fenton, but you had others that were kind of highly regarded that got kicked off the team or quit football altogether. He's not inheriting that. Okay, so then you go to 2021, which because everybody redshirted in 2020, it's a sandwich class. I thought the staff did a masterful job of balancing freshmen. You don't want to get too freshman heavy with guys in the transfer portal and from JUCO that can slot in and fill holes in your roster you already have. So you got that sandwich class. And so if Beamer can sign a top 20 class this year, or I don't even want to put a number on it, a solid recruiting class this year, which they're off to a good start, then he's ahead by almost 3 cycles compared to where Muschamp was and Spurrier was, et cetera. There's no secret why Steve Spurrier's worst team was 2008. There's no secret why, by the time 2019 rolled around, they lose Jake Bentley and some other guys. South Carolina sort of fell off and had some holes they had to do. I'm not totally blaming recruiting with Muschamp because I think that team still should have been better than 4-8. No question about it, but that's why, things didn't work out and he's gone. Yeah. But you look back at Muschamp's 2016 class, it was kind of a miracle. But then 2017, you look at it, some of those guys are still there, but you're like, Shi Smith and Javon Kinlaw, but that's kind of about it. So there could be serious implications down the road if for any new coach at any school in years 3 and 4 where expectations are higher. If you inherit a bad class from the previous regime, your first class is usually a wash anyway. And then your first full cycle, maybe you reach on some guys and miss. So Shane Beamer has an opportunity from a roster standpoint. And COVID, I would never say that's a positive thing ever, but the ramifications of COVID are a blessing in disguise in some ways. So was the portal. That's different. Spurrier, Muschamp, Holtz didn't have that. But I think that when you look at it, if they can pull a very solid class this year, you're almost 3 cycles ahead to where most coaches that take over this type of situation are. So even if you don't care about anything but winning games, know that this is like a down payment on the future of South Carolina football. And it's a sizable one and bigger probably than the last few coaching changes we've had around here.
Well, yeah, to your point, JC, I mean, I think that, all right, so first of all, for those that live and die by recruiting rankings, if that's it, that's what you live and die by, recruiting. Oh, it doesn't matter. Still the ranking matters. Okay. Well, they were 80th last year. 21st right now, 22nd, somewhere in there. Yeah. I mean, come on. So like, we could cut that however we want to cut it and things of that nature. But let me add this part to it. I think this is the most important part. First of all, this staff has been here for not even 6 months total. I mean, you got guys who didn't come till later. Remember all those coaches that left and the national media were burning us left and right, JC? You remember all that? Remember all those times, Darren, when we would say things like, trust your local sources, don't trust the national. They don't know what's going on here.
Especially like coach rankings and hiring grades. They're awful. They're like draft grades are awful.
That's right. So remember all that? All right. Remember the outcry nationally? Oh, my God, they lost Tracy Rocker. They're in. They're done. It's over. Shut the doors. Take Spurrier's name off the building. They lost Mike Bobo. Who the hell is Clayton White? Who the hell is this guy? Who the hell why is Eric Kimmery being hired at South Carolina? Every decision was questioned. Every damn one of them. It's about to be July the 1st. And if anybody can look at what just happened in the last 30 days and say that somehow they have failed, my God, have you been asleep? Are you on drugs? Like, what's going on? I'm not saying that what they have done is going to magically win South Carolina a national championship. I'm not saying that we should all they're probably going to go 10-2 this year. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is we should be able to enjoy what they've done in this amount of time with the energy and momentum that they have built and carried through. And to your point a minute ago, the large majority of the social media world has figured that out, and they've hopped on board, and they have helped. And I've talked to a coach on staff up there in the last week, JC, who has said that exact thing. You probably know who it is. And so we have to remember where we were in the last 6 months and the steps at which they went through to get where they are. And I don't know how you don't look at this. You want to put a grade on it? I'd probably say B+ or an A, and I think that's a hell of a grade right now.
I think it's fair, though, to have questioned the moves and the departures the way we did when they happened, and then the moves of who the hell's Clayton White and who are these? It was fair to question then. But now, as I think I've referenced the football move. Remember the Titans before. But the line attitude reflects leadership. It's a good one here because all of the leaders you're seeing in public, the leader is not just the leader in that building. At the moment, he is the face of, let's call it a franchise, Carolina. So the leadership is overly positive and it's seeping down into those around him and those who follow him.
Yeah, I mean, and JC, I'll let you take it from here. We got a few minutes. We'll come back to this, but we got a few minutes left in this segment. But like from a recruiting standpoint, nobody could get on campus for a year, JC. You've been doing recruiting for what, 30 years? I don't know, 20 plus 30 years?
30.
Years?
I'm not that old. Come on.
Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. You've been doing this. You're one of the best in the country with recruiting. You've done it. There's a reason why you own thebigspur.com. You've done this a long time. You don't just walk in and just start signing 4- and 5-star guys at a place that's won 6 games in 2 years. It takes time to develop relationships, but people who don't understand that don't understand that they have been incredibly successful and they're about to be proven to be even more successful over the next few days.
Sure. Yeah. And that there's no question about it. And I mean, like, as far as the rankings go too, I mean, and I've mentioned this before and I'm not going to get into it here because there's some bigger points I want to make. I don't know where any of these guys are going to end up. I mean, I look at the 3 offensive linemen, Brubacher, Henry, and Maines, and I don't know that Henry's not better than the other 2. I mean, there's a lot to unpack with rankings because nobody before this month has seen anybody in person, right? And in fact, South Carolina's had some highly rated guys on campus, 3-4 stars, no doubt, that they've passed on after seeing them in person because they didn't pass the eyeball test, that kind of thing. So let me just say this about recruiters and names and stuff. I think there's some guys out there that are Godfather-like in recruiting. Larry Johnson from Ohio State's one of them. Yeah. That guy, Ed Orgeron, who's a head coach, is one of them. Dabo Sweeney is one of them. The Urban Meyer, when he is a head coach, is one of them. There are just some Nick Saban. I mean, a lot of people on his staff. Lane Kiffin, I think, is a great recruiter. But there's some guys out there that are always going to be, man, you get that guy on your staff and he's going to sign players, period. I think Torian Gray and Justin Stepp are like that. And I like the fact Stepp was at SMU in Arkansas and he's coming back home. Torian Gray, yes, he was at Florida, but he's at Virginia Tech for 10 years. Those are guys that fit in a place like South Carolina. I think South Carolina had some guys that had some big reps coming in. But if you look at the totality of the Muschamp era, the 2 best recruiters the entire time were 2 guys that were analysts before they were on the field coaches at South Carolina, Mike Peterson, Bobby Bentley, and Mike's still there. So, and I look back through the history of recruiting, and the guys that end up really getting it are the guys that hit the ground running with a lot to prove. And South Carolina has a staff full of those guys. I think back, we all know who Billy Napier is. Billy Napier gets a job at Clemson. He was at South Carolina State. He gets a job at Clemson as the tight ends coach. That dude was one of the best recruiters in the country when he started out and came from nowhere. Right. Okay. You look at South Carolina during the Spurrier era. Shane Beamer came from Mississippi State. G.A. Mangus came from Middle Tennessee. Jay Graham came from Miami of Ohio. Lorenzo Ward had a track record at Virginia Tech. I mean, those guys didn't have big old recruiting resumes when they came in and started signing guys. Look at Todd Bates at Clemson. I'll use another Clemson example. He was at Jacksonville State before he came to Clemson, and he's considered one of the best recruiters in the country. Billy Gonzalez, when he started out with Urban Meyer from the time he was at Bowling Green, was a great recruiter back in the day. You start even thinking about guys like Ryan Day, who's now the head coach at Ohio State. This dude was at Boston College when he starts out, and he's killing it. He's killing it in recruiting. And so, it's not always the guy with the big rep. in my opinion, that can come in and do it. You have to have a passion for it, and you have to have a desire to go prove yourself.
1 o'clock, we're going to hit a timeout. Part 2 with JC Shurburtt up next.
Mike Morgan here for Gamecock Traditions. Baseball is going strong. You'll want to look sharp when you cheer on your Gamecocks. Under Armour, New Era, sideline hats, all with interlocking SC Baseball logo. 18 styles of $10 tees exclusively at Gamecock Traditions. Get on that email list by going to the bottom of the page, enter your email, and always be the first to know about new items as they arrive. You can also add a little Gamecock flair with house signs, garden flags, interior and yard decorations, only at one place, Gamecock Traditions.
At Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum, families walk in the footsteps of our nation's heroes, the brave ones who risked their lives to defend our way of life. Home to the aircraft carrier USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, and the USS Clamagore, there's more than 1 million square feet of exhibit space to roam. White Glove certified, we have several new health safety measures in place to enhance the visitor experience. Come for the day and leave feeling inspired. One of the most impressive museums in the country, located right here in Mount Pleasant. Visit patriotspoint.org for more. We'll see you soon.
Bourbon and whiskey drinkers of Charleston. Paddock and Whiskey on James Island and the Terrace Shopping Center on Maybank is your home for the finest and rarest bourbon and whiskey drinks in the Lowcountry. This is where I hang out. Go meet my friends Reed and Chris and try one of their exclusive barrel pick bourbons. They have the largest private barrel collection in the state, and let their knowledgeable staff recommend your next pour. PaddockandWhiskey.com. Let not your heart be troubled. Paddock and Whiskey is here for your next double. We're all friends around here. Paddock and Whiskey, proud partners of the JB and Goldwater Show.
This is Scott Glaze, head golf professional at the Links at Stono Ferry, located on the outskirts of Charleston, South Carolina. I'm inviting you to tee it up on one of the most scenic and challenging courses in the Lowcountry. Our back nine is highlighted with 3 holes that border the Intercoastal Waterway. Visit stonoferrygolf.com to book tee times and discover all that Stono Ferry has to offer. The Links at Stono Ferry is a former South Carolina Golf Course of the Year and is also home to the College of Charleston men's and women's golf team. Come see us. We would love to have you. stonoferrygolf.com.
Hi, I'm Chris Half, Public Information Officer at the Patriots Point Naval and Maritime Museum. We're home of the mighty USS Yorktown, USS Laffey, Clamagore, and Vietnam experience. And we're a proud partner of the JB and Goldwater Show. We invite you and your family to come see us and enjoy a day on Charleston Harbor. Visit patriotspoint.org for more information. And now, it is my honor to present the national anthem.
Live, loud, and online.
Final hour, Wednesday afternoon. Welcome back to the JB and Goldwater Show, driven by Stokes Volkswagen, StokesVW.com. It's lunch. Might even be past due for lunch. If it is for you, maybe you should head to DB's Cheesesteaks if you're in the low country, because they have the best damn cheesesteak in Charleston. They've been voted #1 twice. It's Dos in Spanish. DB'scheesesteaks.com for their entire menu. JC Shurburtt, Darren Goldwater, and then me. It's time for Carolina football, JB. We're here until 2 o'clock. Keith Allsep's coming up at 1:30 today, but we'll continue as we always do with JC Shurburtt on Wednesdays for a full hour. All right. We've been talking about some of these recruits, JC. I do want to get some NIL stuff with you as well. But let's talk about some of the young men who have pledged their allegiance to the Gamecocks and the Hag and the United States. Let's start with the big boy out of Denver, Pennsylvania. That is Ryan Brubacher. He is a 4-star, 6'6". I think they got him listed 280, but from what I gather, JC is bigger than that, maybe 290 now. One of the newest commitments, maybe actually the newest public commitment to South Carolina, a national top 250 prospect. One of the things I've noticed him, Grayson Maines, who's also a tackle out of Georgia, and the other tackle out of Georgia, Kason Henry, who committed last week. They're all about 6'6", and they're all about 290 pounds. So clearly Greg Adkins is looking for, I keep hearing this word, mean, and then he's also looking for a specific body type when it comes to recruiting tackles to play in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, definitely. And, he's mentioned that as some players, they need more tackle types. And quite frankly, they probably do. I think there's some guys that play tackle at Carolina now that'll probably surprise some people this year, like Justin Turner maybe. But,
no question.
Yeah, they've got some athleticism. But, guys like this are big fit. I like they're all physical, and I like that they all have that frame, and they all have good footwork too. When they took Grayson Maines, I went and watched his film, and I was like, well, there's a lot of guys out of Georgia that have offers that are offensive linemen, because you can't find a whole lot in the South, and for Georgia, you can kind of go one-stop shop and get everything. Same thing with Henry, Georgia kid. But I watched, I was like, man, this guy's got really light feet. He's mean. He plays guard. He can pull. He plays tackle. He can pass block, that type of thing. So that footwork, I think, is a big deal. And then Henry's he's that type of guy. You turn on the TV on Sunday and you're watching the Green Bay Packers, and their right tackle has the band tattoos on him. It's 20 degrees. He's got no undershirt on. He's got a long flowing mane and a beard, and he's just out there whipping people's butt. I'm not saying that's what he'll be, but that's what he reminds me of. It's just that nasty kind of guy. And then Brubaker's a lot like some of the, soft-footed, and you don't ever want to use the word soft when you're talking about offensive linemen, but if you have soft, light feet, that's a good thing. Offensive tackles I've evaluated over the years. At the high school level, I think he's got to get stronger. I think he's got more of a ways to go to fill out his frame. But the good news is, you look at South Carolina's roster, even if they lose a chunk of these guys on the O-line this year, you've got guys like Tyson Wanamaker and Vershawn Lee and Trey Jones and a lot of good young guys on the offensive line that are probably going to stick around. So they don't have to play this year, is my point.
I was about to interject with that real quick, because there are a couple here and there. I know that Clemson has recruited some over the last few years. Alabama has gotten a couple. I want to say maybe Georgia, at least in our region, and I'm not sure about the rest of the country, JC. But it's very, very, very rare. Correct me where I'm wrong here. For the large majority of programs, again, outside of the elite, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, and a couple of others, to recruit specifically offensive tackles to come right in and play as freshmen. Like, kind of walk us through that process when you're recruiting linemen, when you kind of start to expect to see them make a difference in your program.
I think year 3 is average. You look at a guy like Eric Douglas. I guess it was maybe year 4 when he took the starting center job. It ended up being good. You watched Eric Douglas play right tackle some and guard some in 2018, 2019. You're like, this guy may not ever play. So it takes some time. I didn't mention Vinny Murphy and Hank Manos are still young pups on this offensive line. And it does. And look, Travell Wharton started from the time he was a freshman on. Brandon Shell started second year on. I mean, Ajay Khan played as a true freshman a bunch. There are guys that can do that. But normally, if you're looking for, and Alabama is a big exception here. I'm not even sure Clemson does it like this, because Robbie Caldwell tends to evaluate well, and they'll stick a 6'2", 3-star guy out there, and he's just as good.
Yeah,
But,
they've been Clemson for all the star nerds out there. Clemson is as good as anybody. I know you posted something about this on the Big Spur not too long ago, and I know some people didn't like it, but it's the truth. Clemson is as good as anybody at finding the right guys, regardless what the damn star says next to them, and developing them, and they've done an exceptional job on the offensive line at doing that.
Yeah, nobody talks about that because they just think Clemson, they look at all these 5-stars and get intimidated, but Clemson did not build their program through 5-star talent alone. Yes, there was Deshaun Watson and Sammy Watkins, but for every guy like that, there was a low 4-star from South Carolina like Mike Williams, or guys that didn't really have a whole lot of offers like Ryan Carter and those guys that BJ Goodson that helped them build that thing. So offensive line, these are the guys you kind of sit there and think, well, when they open with North Carolina, which North Carolina is probably going to have a nasty defensive line by then, and they do already. In 2023 in Charlotte, these guys are the guys you're probably going to look at and go, hey, you got to go out there and block these fellas. But it's a developmental position. It's also a crapshoot, but Brubacher was a big get. He was a guy that really bonded with the staff when they communicated with him early. The staff had a feeling that if they could get him on campus and he had a great visit, that they would get him shortly after, like the Saturday he was on as official. I switched my crystal ball from Penn State just because of the feedback I got on both ends. And sure enough, Carolina got him. So, I think it's a big get, but I also think, it's easy to look at Brubacher and say 4-star out-of-state guy beat Penn State, elite, and check that box. But Cason Henry and Grayson Maines are, guys out of Georgia, which I'm very hesitant to recruit. I mean, I'd really have to dig in. And I think Greg Atkins did on Georgia offensive linemen in general. But he did. And, he got 2 good ones, I think, out of that state. Really good ones.
JC Shurburtt, owner of BigSpur.com. How about Anthony Rose? I think a lot of us knew who it was when Shane tweeted, "Welcome back." That's pretty funny. But Anthony Rose wants a commitment, decommitted. Now he's back in there. We've kind of talked about him a little bit before, JC, but over the last few days, I feel like more has been said about this young man as a prospect. He's a pretty good one, and he's a highly sought after young man from Miami, Florida.
Yeah, people look at Anthony Rose and they're like, well, he's been to 5 different high schools in 5 years. And I think what people miss is that, in a lot of states, I think including South Carolina, and, one day we should probably really talk about the South Carolina High School League in this regard. But, Georgia's bad about this too. They restrict you if you move. Even if you move, you have to go through all this stuff to get eligible to play athletics. Florida passed a rule a few years back, as the state of Florida tends to do, and says, hey, man, you can go anywhere you want and you're eligible. It's a free-for-all. So there are a lot of kids in Florida, especially South Florida, that gravitate to different programs. Their grades are fine. They're on the same academic track and all that. So that's not really a red flag. He's going to Miami Central, which Miami Central produced Keir Thomas, Devontae Freeman. There's a laundry list of other guys that school's produced. That's one of the best programs in the state of Florida. And I think it's really going to help him this year, get even better. 6'4", 190 pounds. South Carolina gladly took him back. Remember, he was the first guy to commit. He has a great relationship with Torian Gray. The need is at safety. In terms of the secondary, I think everybody kind of looks and goes, well, they need safeties and corners. If you really kind of look at it, getting Caron Prunty in the fold from Kansas, he's got 4 years left. And then you got Joey Hunter, O'Donnell Fortune, Cam Smith, Dominic Hill, Marcellus Dial, Isaiah Norris, all are corners, all have a long time to go. So the need is at safety in this class, and Anthony Rose has a chance to be as good as anybody. He's got to fill out, but he can cover, he can hit. He's got what my friend Ryan Bartow calls that South Florida dog in him.
Yeah.
And I think hey, if you're going to go look for a 6'4" safety, Miami's a good place to go find one.
Well, you mentioned Prunty, and he's a young man who is, again, if you're a big rankings star guy or gal, Karan Prunty is not going to affect that for you. But if he was on that list after playing a year at Kansas, he'd probably be up there pretty high. So you mentioned he's got 4 to play 4. So he's going to come right in, and he can stick around for pretty much as long as he wants to, JC. Are you willing to say, or goes far as to say, this is a young man, it's June 30th, I understand that, but he is a young man who probably is going to start, and if he doesn't start, then somebody had a hell of a camp to beat him out?
Oh, there's no question. Look, man, it's very difficult to be a defensive back cornerback, in the Big 12. Yeah. First, right off, let's just admit that. And then let's admit the fact that it's probably very difficult to be on Kansas's football team. Okay. As bad as they've been.
Period.
It's exceptionally difficult as a freshman to hold the receivers in that league, with the offenses in that league, the lack of defense in that league, the quarterbacks in that league. The wars you have to fight as a defensive player in that league to hold the opponents to 38% and 0 touchdowns. Most importantly, 0 touchdowns. Now, this is a kid that, people talk to me a lot about Virginia Tech and Justin Fuente. And when he was at Memphis, I thought he was a good evaluator. But how Virginia Tech let this kid out of the state of Virginia and go to Kansas, I will never know. I'll never understand it. But he's from Portsmouth, Virginia. South Carolina beat Tennessee for him. And I think what this does is it answers another question in the secondary. There's a lot of players in the secondary now. They're adding 5 defensive backs this offseason, including Prunty. Yeah. Plus, you had some newcomers in the spring. There's 5 that have to play at a time in this defense. So what you do is you look and you go, well, Cam Smith was probably going to be one starter. And now, you got Prunty that can play the other side. So you don't have to throw Marcellus Dial, who hasn't played football in 2 years, to the Wolves, right away. You can bring those guys along slow. You can bring Dominic Hill. You could maybe move Joey Hunter back to safety if you need depth there. So I think it answers a lot of questions. And, as far as it goes too, getting another Virginia kid, South Carolina is going to start trying to establish inroads in Virginia. So with another transfer, Carolina now has 5 Virginia guys. Prunty, E.J. Jenkins, Jason Brown from the transfer portal, then Ja'Kai Moore and Vershawn Lee, who were holdovers from the previous regime. So, having the guys like that, Virginia kids kind of like to go out of state a lot now because they're not all going to Tech and they're certainly not all going to UVA. And so you have these guys, they have a great experience. They go back home, they tell their family, they tell their friends, and then you maybe have a younger player that you can get into. And South Carolina really needs to, be competitive in the state of Virginia. So I think that's another angle to this that's important. But, the transfer portal has been good to Carolina, but then this summer, and then you go all the way back to Will Muschamp trying to get J.C. Jackson in his first year. Sometimes these late additions have not broken South Carolina's way. Tavian Feaster did, but Feaster was sort of a done deal for a long time.
Yeah.
Jaquez Jones, the linebacker from Ole Miss that Carolina felt pretty good about getting, he hightails it to Kentucky. So you get a little shell-shocked about this sometimes if you're following it. But, Prunty came South Carolina's way. I think Torian Gray was masterful in selling him, on playing for him, getting him. Nobody wants to hear he's selling him on getting him to the next level. But, Torian Gray has a long list of guys that were maybe under the radar that he's gotten to the next level, unlike some others that may just have 4 and 5 star guys that they coach up and get up there. So I think that that's a huge pick. That if people want to know what's the biggest pickup of the summer that will make the most immediate impact, it's definitely that guy, because he's going to come in and he's got, Power 5 level experience already against a ton of ridiculous passing offenses. And I think he'll definitely help solidify on the back end. Just got to keep him healthy, and make sure there's and I think that goes for the whole team this year. You got to make sure these guys stay healthy, but certainly that was a big get for the Gamecocks.
Yeah, they have created some competition that they'll be able to take into August to earn some spots in that secondary, certainly, especially after the draft and the defects in the transfer portal. There's no doubt about that. I do see. I'm going to get to these in just a second, guys. We've got a couple of I guess listeners or viewers who are sending some questions about some names who are on the board. We're going to get to those in just a minute, I promise you. And there are again 3 names that cannot be revealed just yet until they reveal themselves. One of them, JC, I would expect probably today or tomorrow for South Carolina. I'm sure that's probably what you're expecting as well.
Yeah.
All right. Let me ask.
Supposed to be yesterday, by the way.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, look, I mean, some of this is strategic. They want to kind of keep the momentum spread out and going. So.
And by the way, it's strategic amongst the players themselves. The coaches aren't asking them to do any of this. They're these guys pay attention to what they're doing on social media. It's interesting. All right. But before we get to all these young men, I know that y'all are, really want to know about. I do want to ask you about Kyla Corton because I feel like I'm not trying to put lipstick on pigs or anything like that. But I feel like this is that classic case in college football that needs a little bit of explanation for those that don't understand in-depth recruiting. He's from Clarendon Hall, Summerton, South Carolina. Hello to all of our good friends up there by the lake in beautiful Summerton, small Summerton, South Carolina. 6'3", 190. He's an athlete, JC. So but if you go look at all of it, where are the stars and this, that, and the other, he's not. That's not there for him. I don't know those reasons, but it's not there for him. What I do know about him is that he can flat out move, and he plays literally every position on the field. He also plays basketball and baseball, amongst other things. And he's just a guy who can kind of do it all. But he plays 8-man football, and a lot of people need to kind of be educated on what type of players can come out of 8-man football and how they could be valuable. So give us a little background on Kyla Corton and maybe what to expect from him over the next few years.
Well, and I told the fans up front, I was like, look, man, this guy, don't expect him. First of all, when you rank, as I've done, ranking national rankings, you're always with receivers looking to split hairs because there's so many of them and so many are good and so many can turn out and have upside and all that. And so, hey, look, playing 8-man football is probably not going to get you a 4-star rating unless you maybe go to Shrine Bowl. And I don't even know if Skeeza or 8-man guys get in the Shrine Bowl, but
I don't think they can.
I wish they could. I mean, I would hope maybe that somebody would make an exception, but
maybe they can.
We'll know next year if CJ Stokes is in it.
This kid ended up.
That's true.
This kid ended up coming to Carolina's camp, 6'3", 190, had a 40-inch vertical, ran 4.4. Okay, so you say, all right. So Justin Stepp starts running routes, doing one-on-ones over and over and over again. He called everything over the course of 2 days and earned the offer. So Stepp looks at it for 2 days. I mean, they really thoroughly evaluated this guy because on film it's hard to tell. So then he goes up to Clemson, and I had a guy up there I said, hey, keep an eye on this kid. Tell me what happens, and he texts me. He's like, this kid looks really good. I think it's really smart of South Carolina to offer. Clemson's probably, their receiver board is vast and their numbers are very tight. So I don't think they were going to offer anyway, but they were, still, had a Clemson person up there tell me this kid's good. So he goes to Virginia Tech, gets an offer. And I think that, this is a guy that the question's going to become athletically. It's all there. How long is it going to take him to take that athleticism and apply that to being a Power 5 SEC level football player? And it may take a couple of years, but it may not, because sometimes guys like this, the light comes on and then boom, there you are. I mean, Deebo Samuel played at Chapman High School, 2-way ball. Now that's definitely better than 8-man ball in Skeeza. And don't get me wrong. That's Spartanburg County now.
Well, Gaines Adams went to an 8-man school.
I was about to mention the late, great Gaines Adams. Steve Tannehill was his coach, and he shopped him around. South Carolina passed, and then he took him to Clemson. Clemson took him, and he was the number 4 pick in the draft. And, I don't want to get into the thing where every 8-man football prospect that people sign, you say, well, he could be like Gaines Adams because that's easy to do. This guy plays a different position. But I think that with all the receivers across the country that South Carolina could easily sign, let's be honest. They could go in and find some kid in Florida or Georgia and sign him. And he's probably played a little more accomplished competition. They're not going to take Justin Stepp's given the need at receiver, not going to take this guy unless they thoroughly evaluated him, and they did. I mean, he scored 41 points in a basketball game this year. I mean, he's a great athlete, level of competition notwithstanding. So that's going to be the question for him is, just how long. It's a matter of time is what I would say about his prospects for getting on the field.
All right. Again, still 3 names out there committed. They will be public before long. And next time we're on the air with JC, we'll talk about them. But we do know that there are also some other names that people want to discuss here. Let me, Darren, could you pop some of those up on the screen? I can't even see them. Maybe I'm getting old.
One of them.
All right, here's one from the Twisted Chicken. That sounds like a restaurant.
It does.
How about this guy? I love it. JC, what do you think of our chances of getting the big 3 from Florida? James, Thomas, and Glover.
All right, so Glover.
I'm assuming that's Jalon Glover.
Dominic James and
which one? R. Thomas. R.
Mason Thomas. I'm gonna tell you this about R. Mason Thomas. We all got some feedback about his visit and went and rushed and put a crystal ball in. This kid's really, really good. If you're a Gamecock fan, you definitely want to sign him. He's the reason Iowa State is winning. And what I mean by that is they take a lot of these Florida kids under the radar and they turn into the best defense in the Big 12, which, as I've mentioned, is difficult to do. It is more of a battle with Iowa State than I think we realized. So the crystal ball points towards the Gamecocks, and we still kind of feel relatively good, but, there has been some talk Iowa State was still in front. I know we told Phil Kornblut that, and my Iowa State guy says they kind of feel confident, although they're nervous. And you know how these things go. So Thomas, I think, would be slight edge to the Gamecocks. Don't be surprised either way. Dominic James, I was told earlier today, don't count out UCF. I don't know. Yes, he's from Prattville, Alabama. He released the top 4, didn't have UCF in it. Florida doesn't think they're getting him. Texas A&M has some other guys ahead of them. Who was that? I don't know who the other Ohio State is the big mystery. If Ohio State's taking him, a lot of people think that's where he's going to go. If not, we'll see. And then Jalon Glover, everybody's chasing Florida State, but the team nipping at Florida State's heels, and their running back board's a little different too, is the Gamecocks. So look, I wish I could answer with more certainty. So it could be 3 for 3, 2 for 3, 1 for 3, or 0 for 3 on this one.
Hopefully 3 for 3.
And I don't know that those are the big 3 out of Florida either. I'd have to go look at some other Florida guys.
There are 3 really good.
3 on the edge of everybody's tongue.
Yeah. All right. Love it. This is from this isn't from Andrew. This is from Mr. Andrew.
Mr. Andrew.
Love all that JC. I think he meant JB, but we'll go JC. I love all that JC does for us. I'm just kidding.
Especially Red. Red's appearances are all time.
Yeah, that's right.
Somebody just fed him a bacon, so he's fine now. He doesn't care if people come in here and rob the house as long as we give him a treat. So.
That's right. What are our chances of landing Fagans and Nelson?
Nelson is better than I anticipated after talking with the Penn State source and kind of running it by Carolina a little bit. I'm going to say this. If Keenan Nelson Jr. prolongs this and goes for a while, he's rated really highly, but he's not a type of guy South Carolina's just going to hold a spot for forever. He's not what we call an oversign. But I think that one could get very interesting in the immediate future. Another guy that could have been going to Penn State, maybe going to South Carolina. So I don't know what to say. And so that's the deal there. Fagans is from Alabama. He just moved to Alabaster Thompson High School, which is Sam Reynolds, a South Carolina freshman receivers high school. And a good friend of mine's kids go to Thompson. So I'll be keeping good tabs on that one. And I just think it all depends on what Alabama does with him. And if Auburn maybe flies in. Right now, Auburn doesn't seem to be on the list right there. And then somebody asked about Abdul Carter, yet another Pennsylvania guy, Darren. And I didn't even mention Jayshon Barham, who's from Baltimore, who the Gamecocks are in it with those old Nittany Lions. Abdul Carter has great issues. He may be the best one of all these guys. I mean, you look at this guy's film, it's like Brandon Spikes circa 2006. Y'all remember Brandon Spikes? I do. He went to Florida from Shelby, North Carolina. Everybody thought he was going to be a defensive end because he ran 4.9 at some camp one day because he didn't care. And then he plays middle linebacker at Florida for Charlie Strong, wins the national championship, and was an absolute stud at times for the New England Patriots. So Abdul Carter may be the right guy, may be the best of all of them. He's got a little bit of academic work to do, so we'll see what happens there. But, Fagans and Nelson, like I said, it's easy to look at the rankings right there, but I'm going to tell you, Torian Gray, when he was at Virginia Tech and really at Florida too, I saw them look at guys that were ranked 4 stars out of the 757 or Richmond and go, not going to play for the Hokies. And then they take some 2-star kid that ended up going to the NFL and playing 8 years and being an All-American. And meanwhile, the 4-star kid that hightailed it to Michigan or wherever, he's on the bench, transfers back at Liberty or wherever in a couple of years. So Torian Gray knows what he's doing on the defensive backfield. So I would, if you're following defensive back recruiting, stay flexible. Stay flexible.
Good advice. Stay flexible in everything in life, boys and girls.
I need to start doing some Pilates or something.
By the way, we have breaking news here. Shane Beamer has just tweeted out "Welcome home" once again.
Another welcome home.
So
huge phone call. He says a huge phone call.
Are these all real, or are some of these just him getting it out there to keep momentum going?
I know you got to get to Keith, but I'm going to tell you this: we know who all these guys are.
So they're all real. Okay,
but we don't. We have a policy, and it is a little different with Beamer because as soon as he gets the call, he's going. Muschamp would wait till the announce, and Spurs up would come like 30 minutes before.
Yeah,
but we sort of are not going to. We don't ruin kids' moments, and kids nowadays, they're going to put it on Twitter anyway and do their little edits and stuff. But we know who all of them are, and we're not going to tell. I don't even tell my friends sometimes, or sometimes I lie to them, and all that. But
right.
Yeah, so they're all real. He's not just. It'd kind of be funny if he was, like, hey, welcome home, and then he's got 27 welcome homes and only 10 guys that sign, and they're scrambling at the last minute, and going down to the YMCA, and hey, this guy looks like he could play. Let's sign him. So anyway. No, and you hear the word authenticity and genuineness and honesty and truthfulness. This all aligns, so that this is all part of something that I think is kind of fun. To me, I've never covered recruiting this way, where we all know where everybody's going and we're kind of quiet about it, and and then we just let the kid have his moment. But I think it's even more fun if I were a fan sitting out there to kind of guess and speculate and all that. And I mean, hell, it's June 30th. I mean, like I said, we're normally watching paint dry down at the Isle of Palms, having a shrimp cocktail and a few beers. That's what we're normally doing right now. We're not even thinking about recruiting. And now it's almost like January back in the day, where you're marching towards signing day. And I think that in and of itself, after the year we've been through, and I've been on this show now for about a year, after the year we've been through, not just with the pandemic, but with everything in the world and everything on the field of South Carolina and all that, and the court and the diamond, whatever, it's nice to sit back and have some fun and, cover something that's overwhelmingly positive.
That was kind of what I was getting at the top of our segment with you at 12:30. It's just a time to be able to let yourself be excited after everything everybody's been through. That was my only point, JC, was remember where we came from and where we are, and enjoy this ride. Have fun with it, because I tell you one thing, that staff is It is fun up there. All right, well, we'll let you go. I look, can't get to all of them. Craig, no, Antonio Williams has not set a date yet.
But that one's going to go a little while.
That's going to be a while. Yeah, exactly. He can commit whenever he wants to, and they're going to take it.
Probably the top. There's if there was a number one overall, he'd be up there. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. For those who listen to JC on our program every week, first of all, thank you. If you don't have a subscription to the BigSpur.com, I literally beg you to get one. I think it's like $1 to join. And I can tell you now, we know all these guys really well. They work really, really hard. I mean, really hard. And if you could spare a couple double cheeseburgers a month at McDonald's and afford a $9 subscription after the promos run out at the Big Spur, we'd really appreciate it. Support our great friends who, JC, I know you don't sleep often, but I know damn well Hal McGranahan and those guys aren't sleeping either. So we really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and I'll say this too: if you go ahead and you want to bypass the trial and just pay up $9.95 or whatever, you get Paramount Plus, and I see a lot of Paramount Plus content rolling through. They advertise on Facebook or whatever. So Paramount Plus used to be CBS All Access. So, we'll see sort of what happens. But anyway, just I know you got to get to Keith. Tell the Cockfather I said hello.
Yeah.
And before he even gets to it, I encourage everybody to go become a patron of the Cockfathers podcast as well. That's just a couple of bucks a month too now.
Yeah.
Package that with all your streaming and all that. And he'll certainly make you happy with his product too.
Yeah, this, that, and the other. Yeah.
Yeah, this, that, and the other.
Well, look, JC, we're off next week on vacation. I'll be up in the mountains, and Darren is going to be listening to ABBA CDs next to the pool.
Apparently.
Or watching Saved by the Bell, as Mike Morgan told him yesterday. But happy 4th of July, my friend.
Thank you.
I hope you have a wonderful time in Chicago, and hopefully all those fireworks sounds are actually fireworks.
Yeah, you guys are wonderful Americans, and I'll be celebrating America with a nice cold one here in about 8 hours.
There you go.
And you guys will
get her done.
Get her done. Yeah, get her done. That's right. Yeah, Larry the Cable Guy. We'll talk about how fake he is one day. He's from Nebraska, so he really talks like this.
Yeah.
But he gets out there and he's like, my sister's covered him. He's just so fake compared to Ron White and Rodney Carrington. I can't stand it. But anyway, tell Keith I said hello.
All right, and this, that, and the other. See you
Happy
later.
4th, guys.
Yes, sir. There you go. All right, got to hit our final timeout. I know Keith's probably all beat up about it. I get it. We can run a little over 2:00 if we need to.
He's chilling, and you guys match. So we'll get him in here soon.
Part 2. It's time for Carolina football. Up next.
This is Mike Mazzell for Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road with exciting news. It's springtime and we're playing ball. Most dealerships don't have any inventory, but at Stokes Volkswagen we do. So we're playing ball on every new Volkswagen in stock. Every new Volkswagen available with zero down. Qualified buyers can sign and drive with interest-free financing for 60 months. Remember, Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road is the fastest, easiest way to sell your car and get the most money for your trade. Plus, we'll take any trade in any condition, paid off or not. Is your credit in a slump?
Strike 2.
If you've got $500 down and you make at least $2,000 per month, car lenders can get you approved. So if you want to strike out, that's okay. But if you want to hit a home run and save on a new Volkswagen, come see us today at Stokes Volkswagen on Ashley Phosphate Road or StokesVW.com.
$1,666 per month per $1,000 borrowed for 60 months at 0% APR with zero down. Plus tax tag. Includes $499.50 administration fee. Subject to VCI credit approval. Expires month end.
Peace and love at Stokes VW.
Wando Power Equipment, the trusted home of Hustler zero-turn residential and commercial mowers. There is nobody more trusted in South Carolina than our friends from Wando Power Equipment. They've been providing elite commercial and residential service for over 30 years. Landscape Services have turned to their selection of Hustler zero-turn mowers like the Raptor. Bigger, stronger, faster, and the most durable Raptor Hustler has ever designed. Located on Daniel Island and online at wandopower.com. Wando Power Equipment, owned by the Price family, the home of Hustler zero-turn mowers, rentals, service, and specializing in family and friendship.
Shrimping season's back. That means local caught shrimp. That's right. Local caught shrimp back on the menu at the Dog and Duck. All 3 locations, Bell Hall, Park West, and Clements Ferry Road, now featuring once again local caught hand-breaded shrimp, plus other daily specials like the Game Day Burger every Wednesday, Rib Night on Friday, rotating taps all the time, and all the TVs you can possibly imagine for whatever you want to watch. The Dog and Duck in Bell Hall, Park West, and on Clements Ferry Road.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
JB and Darren on the JB and Goldwater Show.
Yeah, soon enough. Soon enough. Williams Bryce will be packed again. Can't wait for that. Welcome back. The JB and Goldwater Show, final segment of the afternoon. Wednesday afternoon it is, and there's another commitment to South Carolina. That name will be revealed before long. Thanks to JC Shurburtt, and now thanks to our good friend Keith Allsep, host of the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. It is part 2 of our It's Time for Carolina Football mini-series here on the JB and Goldwater Show. We have not forgotten, though, that the College World Series will play tonight in Game 3. So we're fired up about that. And we haven't forgotten about name, image, and likeness either. Tomorrow, a bunch of kids are going to get rich. So we're all excited for them. Hey, Keith, nice T-shirt you got there.
Hey, it's time for Carolina football.
How's it fit?
Like a glove, JB.
That's what I'm talking about.
Soft. Go to the JB and Goldwater store.
Yep.
Okay, and purchase It's Time for Carolina Football. I'll have this on at the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast tailgate party.
All right.
For the Kentucky football game.
Oh, rock on. That is awesome. So while they're there, they can also subscribe to the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. We need to make sure that everybody's got to be in the same little fraternity here. I'm just trying to catch up to the Cockfather. There you go. See, I know. Yeah. Now I need one of those, and then we'll really match. It's all good.
It's all good, brother.
Yeah, there you go. JBandGoldwaterShow.com is where you can you can check out our collection, like the T-shirts that we have here. All right, Keith. I really anticipated to start with something else, but we got to start with the latest news from Shane Beamer. We don't have a name yet. I don't know if we'll have it here soon or not. I think it might be a little bit before we actually could put it out publicly. But this is the last day of the month, and Shane Beamer wasn't going to let us close the book on June without getting another one in the door. We were just talking about a lot of this with JC. This is impressive what he's been able to do. We'll figure out how impactful all these players are down the road, but nonetheless, it's been a pretty magical month on the recruiting trail, Keith.
I've never seen anything like it, JB, as far as South Carolina football recruiting, and I've been following it since the 1970s, and I've never seen anything like it over the course of the last 10 days to 2 weeks. I picked up kind of a hint that this was going to happen today, in addition to the one that's going to be revealed a little bit later today, that there could be another big one today, and one that's probably going to hurt the feelings of some of those guys that ESPN always talks about being in the college football playoff.
I think so. Yeah, that's right. You're right. Expected that there's another one who's going to be revealing himself today, who's already committed, which we'll leave that there. I don't want to get into the gray area or anything like that. But I haven't either. And this is one that we were talking about this earlier, Keith, not seeing anything like it. And even in particular, when there have been coaching changes. Granted, never before have we had the access that we have now. Even when Muschamp got hired, it hadn't become as much of a trend as it is now with some of the recruiting stuff and things like that. But when you have a coaching change, generally you kind of have some bumps in the road, and we know they're having bumps in the road, but they're also masking it pretty well up there. The energy, you either hop on board or you're getting left behind right now with this staff.
I mean, there's no doubt about that, JB. And, I got to hand it to Shane Beamer and his coaching staff, the positive energy, the synergy that exists inside the building that just is permeating Gamecock Nation now. Gamecock fans have been waiting and hoping for something like this to happen for quite some time. I mean, let's face it, after the way it went down with Steve Spurrier, and then you hired Will Muschamp, who I thought was going to be successful. JC, we both thought he would be successful, a lot of people, but there was a segment of the fan base that was never going to accept him. And now Shane Beamer, which I mentioned last week, having been at South Carolina and now proving it to the fans on the recruiting trail with, I call it the summer of Shane. And this is the summer of Shane because he's undefeated and he's recruiting his behind off. Now they've got 17 initial counters for this class, and Gamecock Nation is just waiting with bated breath for every commitment to be revealed. And JB, I was listening earlier with JC. He talked about Gamecock Twitter, the fan base helping the momentum, the Cotton Gin, starting it off with we want Karan Prunty to we want Oscar Delp. We want Brubacher. I mean, it's just getting nuts right now with this Gamecock fan base. I mean, they're going crazy. And, it's still not July. And so we'll find out at least one commitment today. We'll find out one tomorrow. Who knows when this latest welcome home will be revealed. And then there'll be some next week as well.
Let me interject that. I'm gonna pass along some information from what is this gentleman's name? Shurburtt, JC. It appears that today's welcome home will be revealed on Saturday. So for those who probably can read between lines a little bit here and there and do some digging on your own, you can probably figure that out. What, Keith? Let's look at this from a momentum / big picture here on the It's Time for Carolina Football miniseries on right here on the JB and Goldwater show. Which, by the way, Darren, I made an intro for this and I have it in the finalized, and I forgot to tell you.
Yep. That's the first I've heard about it. But hey,
yeah, I know. I'm sorry.
Next week or in 2 weeks, we'll play it.
I know. I owe everybody an apology. You're going to really like it. I'm telling you. You think you'll get fired up.
That's called tease, man. You're teasing something that's now 2 weeks out. This is like epic tease.
It's like recruiting right now.
That's right.
So I got a tease for you.
Okay.
When the welcome home is revealed today, the one that was supposed to be revealed yesterday.
Yeah.
Shane Beamer will have done something in recruiting that no Gamecock coach in my recollection has ever done in a recruiting class. And JB, I'll tell you what it is after we get off the air.
I know exactly what it is. Because this number means something.
Dose, yes.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Dos Equis.
Yeah, I know exactly what it means. So, people, that's a great tee. That's great. I hope he doesn't reveal it until after people listen to your show tonight.
Also, Darren ought to be happy. Darren's going to be happy on Saturday.
I will.
He's going to be real happy.
No doubt about it.
Darren's going to have to cut off Mr. Belding and Saved by the Bell and check it out.
If you're getting more Penn State blood in the program, if you want to turn me into a Gamecock, the only way to do it is to get more Penn State blood in that program, and that won't work. But I'll move there a little.
Well, it's taking the blood away from somebody who Penn State
wants.
Well, and honestly, Shane Beamer and Torian Gray and company could be getting ready to hurt James Franklin's feelings. I mean, they've already hurt him with Brubacher. I just have a feeling they may not be done up there.
Yeah, probably not. So let's talk about the question I was going to get to. Somebody out there's probably wanting to slap me, and I don't blame him. when this is kind of we're on a roller coaster right now, Keith, and but it's only going in one direction right now. We all know how recruiting is. It literally is a roller coaster. You have ups and downs all the time, but right now this roller coaster just keeps climbing. The era.
I mean, to me, like the most fun is on a roller coaster is when you're going down and everybody's screaming. I mean, personally, I hate roller coasters because I get sicker than a dog because I'm vertigo and motion sickness. And so the last time I was in a roller coaster, the people in the car behind me were not very happy about it.
That sucks. I don't. All is.
They wore some carnival food back home that day. Yeah,
good. I bet they were hungry.
Well, this is right now. Generally we talk about recruiting from standpoint of coaches recruiting players and some of the players on current teams helping with that. But Keith, how right now is Big Mo recruiting players? Momentum right now, I think, might be as meaningful as anything.
Well, it is. And also now spots are getting tight. I mean, JC mentioned it. I mentioned it on the Locked on the Gamecocks podcast. Last night, JC popped on for my Garnet and Black Town Hall, and we had an overtime segment where it's not being recorded, and, we just kind of talk amongst ourselves. But spots are getting tight. Guys are jumping on board. That's exciting other guys to prompt them to jump on board. And I kind of think that was one of the reasons why Ryan Brubacher moved up his commitment date outside of his sheer joy of joining Gamecock Nation and, ripping through the big orange country of Tennessee it's happening. It's all happening right now in Columbia, South Carolina. I mean, Shane Beamer, other coaches are taking notice. Josh Pate, who's Michael W. Bratton on that SEC podcast, who's a frequent guest on my show. He brought it up. Other SEC programs and coaches are taking notice right now. And it's kind of South Carolina in the summer of Shane that is shaking the Southland right now, not to anger, the orange fan base in the upstate, but hey, it's true. It's happening.
Well, I know that we had somebody who was paying attention to us earlier that didn't like our optimism. I'm trying to be truthful here. So let me just speak specifically to the crowd that gets caught up in star ratings and recruiting rankings and things like that, and say, well, these things absolutely matter. Okay, well, here's something for you. By this time next week, once all 4 of these silent commitments are public, South Carolina's recruiting class, which right now is top, I think 25 or 26, somewhere in there, 24/7 Sports, 21 Rivals, is going to be well inside the top 15. And for people to think that I'm not serious, I'm serious. When these 4 are released, this is a top 15 class. What does that mean right now?
Well, I just think that, again, not to beat a dead horse, but this is what you saw Dabo Swinney do early on at Clemson, is bring those guys up there in the summertime to Lake Hartwell, get them out on the lake. Now they, get to go down the slide, which is evidently the greatest thing in college football is the slide at the Clemson indoor facility.
Big time.
They get up there and it's a family atmosphere. It's nice in the summertime. They get guys in the boat and then you ride it out. Well, Shane Beamer, now that South Carolina's facilities are much different than they were at the start of any head coach's tenure, Shane Beamer walked into the best situation as far as the Long Family Operations Facility, the Spurrier Stephen Jerry Spurrier indoor practice facility, the new offices, the new weight room, the locker rooms, the state of the art, everything in that. And Shane Beamer, he's recreating what was there with Jerry and Steve Spurrier, a family environment with a hungry coaching staff that is 100% genuine and highly motivated to prove everybody that, hey, it can be done here.
Absolutely. I mean, it's this is, people need to enjoy this right now. It will slow down, and then it will pick back up again. But Keith, this is, you almost get lost for words. One of the things that Shane pointed out on our program a few weeks ago is I asked him how much name, image, and likeness has come up. And he said, he hadn't really had one person ask him about it, but they have been educating their players and they've been preparing like everybody. Tomorrow it's here. Name, image, and likeness arrives to actually in about 10 hours. It's here. And one of the things that he said, Keith, was that Columbia, you're the star of the show, but it's you're not in a small town where there's no opportunity. You're not in a big city where you're competing with pro teams. You're not competing with anybody. No offense to the Columbia Fireflies. God bless you. But they don't hold a candle to South Carolina. So you are the star of the show at the University of South Carolina, and that's one of their pressing points when name, image, and likeness is brought up, that you have opportunity there and things of that nature. Let me ask you this, kind of a shift in questioning here, but who's the most marketable player on the South Carolina football team?
Well, I mean, I would probably have to say Luke Doty, Kevin Harris, maybe.
Yeah.
By midseason, it may be Marshawn Lloyd, Jordan Birch. I mean, imagine, 10 years ago when you had Marcus Lattimore and Jadeveon Clowney and Stephon Gilmore and Melvin Ingram and Devontae Holloman and Connor Shaw and Alshon Jeffrey and Ace Sanders. And I mean, good Lord.
It's hard to have the most marketable guy out there now when they haven't won anything yet.
Right.
So they got to get a little momentum going. And granted, they can take advantage of it in 10 hours, but you got to get a little momentum going before one of them can be seen as the most marketable. Like if anybody starts the year with like 6 sacks in 2 games, then he's the most marketable guy.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, Darren, but I also think that just by nature, it's a quarterback's world right now. I mean, I had Mike Hugo on my show last Friday. He was hosting the George Rogers Foundation event with all of the basically old Heisman Trophy winners from the 70s and 80s, and every one of them was a running back.
Yep.
Now that's not the case. It's all quarterbacks. And imagine if Tua Tagovailoa was going into his sophomore year this year after throwing that pass, right, and he was going to be teed up to be the first one, how much money that guy would make versus any other player on Alabama's roster. Or by the middle of his senior year, Joe Burrow at Ohio State. I mean,
Trevor Lawrence.
I think it's a quarterback's world. Trevor Lawrence. I mean, good Lord. I bet Deshaun Watson wishes he was back at Clemson. Well, probably for more reasons than just name, image, and likeness. But man, he would have racked up on that.
Oh, I agree. And it's not even just football. I mean, like who would be the most marketable athlete in Columbia right now? I tell you, who might have my pick is Aaliyah Boston on the women's basketball team. I mean, she is an incredibly marketable student athlete at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about that. The smile, the personality, and the talent. I mean, she's off the charts. I mean, to me, if you're looking for one player to be the face of South Carolina athletics right now, as far as name, image, and likeness and promoting the program, I know Holly Rowe flew down to the Virgin Islands to visit with her and her family. That's going to be a big feature when ESPN kicks off their women's college basketball this year. I mean, Aaliyah Boston, I mean, she's probably going to be the national, at least a candidate for the National Player of the Year. Obviously, Paige Becker's at UConn.
Yep.
I mean, there's one. Nalissa Smith up the road in Waco.
Yeah.
As well. And so, I mean, gosh.
Well, and she's got Dawn.
Right.
Dawn brings attention anyways. And
think about Asia Wilson, what she would have done, being a Columbia native and then winning the national championship as a junior.
Yeah.
With name, image, and likeness. So, I mean, that, we'll just have to wait and see. But I think in general, it's going to be, for most teams, the quarterback, like it or not, that's going to be the guy, because usually the quarterback's a good-looking guy. He's putting up all the numbers, and he's got the ball in his hands on every play.
Well, you wonder, Keith, if there's a report out today, and I know, Darren, we're a shade over 2:00, but we own this deal. We can do whatever the hell we want to. By the way, actually, before I move on any further, I like Lisa's comment here, so we're gonna save that, copy and paste it, and put it up every day forever on our show. Nice work, Lisa. Ratings and stars are all well and good. What I care about is, can they play good football and help win games, and are they good kids? So I don't care about the rating or the ranking. I'm with you. Just like Connor Shaw was a 3-star, just to remind everybody about that. In Nebraska, all college athletes in Nebraska officially have at least one offer right now. I don't know if you saw this or not, Keith, but there is a fast food chain called Runza, which, like, their signature meal is this stuffed bun of cabbage and meat. It actually looks pretty good. So the regional food chain is offering deals to the first 100 current athletes, not football players, who opt in and promote the restaurant's rewards app to their followers on social media. But the payment will be a single flat amount for everyone, regardless of sport, whether you're the quarterback or or you're the 6th-string girl on the volleyball team. It doesn't matter. So the first 100 that opt in are going to get this opportunity to promote themselves and this company on social media. You think about Columbia, we might see this. Like this we could find out about this in Columbia tomorrow, Keith. Rushes, Bojangles. Yeah, Village. Yeah, but they don't have an app.
The Platel platter could supplant the Yuva at Bojangles.
Exactly. I mean, this is there was a time in my life I never wanted to see this in college sports. I've evolved, as I think many have, and so now I'm kind of excited about some of these opportunities. Heck, Darren, you and I might be able to pay somebody to promote us.
We could.
Do you have any money? Because I don't.
No, but the idea's there. We can
do that.
Yeah.
Somebody, Keith, who are you going to pay to promote if you had to pick somebody right now in South Carolina, they're gonna endorse the Locked On the Gamecocks podcast. Who's it going to be?
Aaliyah Boston.
See,
I just checked 39 or a little bit below 1,000 followers on Instagram. So there is social influence there for Aaliyah Boston.
39,000?
Yeah, 38 point something followers on Instagram.
That's wow. That is incredible. I don't even think I have 300.
We talk a lot of Gamecocks women's basketball on the Locked On the Gamecocks podcast.
Yes, you do. You know they won a national championship a few years ago.
I was there.
That's where most of this.
I got a picture with my arm around the head coach with the net lace at the hotel.
You cleat chaser. Hey, look, I'm a guitar chaser. Okay, right there. There's the chief. So it's all good. No, yeah, I'm with you, Keith. If I had to pick anybody, I'd say Aaliyah Boston and Luke Doty. I think you're spot on, and probably Kevin Harris. But I'll tell you what, though, down here, the Carry-On Joiner might be a pretty good one.
Yeah, in Charleston. That'd be a very good one.
Mm-hmm. No doubt about it.
All right. Before we let you run, who wins tonight? It's got to be somebody from the SEC. Is it Vandy or Mississippi State?
I mean, I'm pulling for Mississippi State. I mean, I'm a Chris Lemonis guy.
Yes.
You know, I quite frankly, well,
don't go down that road.
From Mississippi State. Let's put it that way.
I know where you were headed.
More cowbell tonight. How about that?
More cowbell than whistle.
Yeah, I'm not a whistler. So,
well, you better clear your schedule, Keith, because if they have to review or replay anything tonight, we're going to be here a while.
Lord.
It's a
How
joke.
about that's like the old NBA Finals when I was a kid? That was delayed replay. It's not instant replay. No. It's delayed replay, regardless of the sport.
Yep.
Like, dude, why in the hell are they bringing the left and right field umpires in?
Dude.
Who I guarantee you just wanted to get a shot of them being on national television because them guys had no clue on what happened on that play. You can't see it from that far away when it happens that fast. No chance.
It's a disaster. It is a disaster. And the biggest problem with all of this, as I said at the top of our show today, the biggest problem is all these idiotic rules they've implemented over the last few years to, quote, speed the game up, and then they turn around and do this crap. I mean, you're going to limit mound visits. You're going to put a pitch clock out there. You're going to call balls when guys don't throw the baseball within 20 seconds. But yet we can bring 6 umpires in to determine whether the ball was foul off of the batter who's in the box, and the ball didn't leave the batter's box, and you've already approved a replay. But we're going to come in and talk about it. 6 guys.
But
left
look,
and right field umpires.
It's worse in Major League Baseball because of the way they do it is they rotate having a guy in the headquarters, in the booth, okay, who makes the call. And guess what? He's an umpire. He's just off the road in there. And, of course, they're going to take up for their buddies because everything's on a rating system, and it's all about the playoff money. And the higher you're rated, the deeper you go to the playoffs. And to me, I've seen many examples involving teams that are not the Atlanta Braves, who I'm a huge fan of and have been all my life, that have just been ridiculous that it was not overturned because anybody with half a brain, which I probably only have like a third of a brain because I grew up in Pickens County. But you know, even the scarecrow, okay, knew that that call should have been overturned.
Well done, my friend. You're right. Hey, Hail State wins tonight. The Charleston boys, Scott Foxhall and Chris Lemonis, are going to bring the rings back, and we're fired up for them. And we know this: there will be an SEC champion this year. We do know that.
I mean, doesn't it just speak to the strength of the SEC that you've got the third and fourth rated teams in that league playing for a national championship? To me, that's what's so great about the college football playoff going to 12. It's going to be more like a tournament, and more upsets will happen because of playing more games and injuries and things of that nature.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I know that some, and I'm one, is frustrated about what happened to NC State. But as Mike Morgan said yesterday, you know, unfortunately, you got to move on, and it is what it is now. So we'll see. But Hail State, I'm with you on that one. On that note, Keith, we're going to let you run. The Locked On the Gamecocks podcast is free on Wednesdays. So for those who want to check it out today, do so. For those who've never checked it out, you should. And become one of the great patrons that you've got that listens to that all the time. It's a wonderful. I've been on it a lot. It's a wonderful show. We're off next week, Keith. So happy 4th of July, my friend.
Go America!
Always, always. And then we'll get back together here in a couple of Wednesdays after vacation. So thank you so much as always. You look good in that shirt. And
yes,
and we'll talk to you soon.
Happy 4th of July, guys. I hope you guys have a great vacation. Recharge the batteries because it's all gas and no brakes after that from SEC media days.
Yeah, man.
All the way through. So
can't wait.
Get locked on.
The Gamecocks. There you go. Thanks, Keith.
Later,
all right.
man.
Keith Allsep, host of the Locked On the Gamecocks podcast, joining us as he does on Wednesdays now as part of our It's Time for Carolina Football mini-series. You can check out our collection by heading to jdandgoldwatershow.com. If there's something you want, these T-shirts are awesome. I will say that. They are awesome. Thanks to Keith. Thanks to JC. Another big day in recruiting for South Carolina. I tell you, this one that's newest is a big one. You'll know who it is in a few days. All right, tomorrow's our last day before vacation. We got a lot of baseball to get to. We'll recap. Enjoy the World Series tonight. Thanks to Darren, as always. And I know we went a little overtime today, but that's okay. So we got Corey McCartney tomorrow. We'll get into some golf. We'll get back into the College World Series, and then we'll send you off for the 4th of July. Can't wait for that. Have a wonderful Wednesday evening. JB and Goldwater Show. See you tomorrow at noon, driven by Stokes Volkswagen.